Amnesty, amnesty everywhere. You know, just a few years ago, the president said, well, I'm not emperor, and this is almost a direct quote, I'm not emperor, and I can't, just legalize millions of people without Congress helping. Of course, he could have made this move back in August, but nope, the Democrats, stepped in and said, whoa, this could blow our election chances. Well, their election chances were blown. It was pretty much a Republican landslide, and now Obama and the Democrats, who say they have his back, are going to legalize 4 or 5 million illegal immigrants with a stroke of a pen. Now, Obama and also Bill Clinton, they both say, oh, I have the legal grounds, I'm on good legal standing, even though the president said a few years ago he could not act without Congress. He was not emperor. So I guess you might as well start calling him Emperor Obama, who's going to, by a stroke of his pen, going to change immigration law and legalize millions of illegal immigrants. I have a lot of questions. What do you say to African-American youth who have, 25 to 35, depending where the cutoff is, unemployment rate? In Chicago, some youth up there, depending on the cutoff, 90% unemployment rate, no jobs. And you're going to legalize millions of illegal immigrants in an already tight job market with nearly 93 million people no longer looking for work? I don't know how you sell that. It wasn't a good idea before the election in November, and I guess it's turned into a good idea now. You know what I think? I think the policies of the Democrats are so bad, and they do not want to change them. They're so bad they have to import an underclass, a group of people who no matter what happens here, it's way better than where they came from in Mexico and South America and Central America. No matter what, they're just importing a class of voters who will put up with their terrible policies.
The progressive agenda is just a war on every level of society, every economic group, and especially the middle class, because they want to eliminate it. In socialist economies, they don't have a middle class. There's an elite class that runs everything and controls all the wealth, and then one big lower class. But let's look at the next clip. It's about the illegals and what they're trying to do.
¿De dónde eres usted, primero?
El Salvador.
¿También?
México.
¿México? ¿De dónde es México?
Puebla. Guatemala.
¿Guatemala también?
Guatemala.
We're recruiting and training Latino organizers.
The antiquated immigration system needs to be changed.
We will transform this nation.
We can have a new understanding. You can have stations in the border states, a station in each state.
¿Qué porcentaje de gente en México quieren volver a América?
Es el 80%, el 90% de gente.
Apoyo a Obama, ¿por qué?
Por el plan de salud.
¡Viva Obama! ¡Viva Obama! Y este con plan de salud. I am going to march with you every step of the way to make sure that we are welcoming every striving immigrant who sees America the same way we do.
¿Por qué no te quedas y trabajar en tu propio país?
Porque el problema de que no puedo quedarme en mi país es por el sistema del socialismo.
Unbelievable film. Keep organizing.
So for people that don't speak Spanish, for people that don't speak Spanish, I was talking to illegals at Home Depot, and they said they left their countries because it was being destroyed by socialism. And you see Obama and his gang executing a strategy to flood America with illegals so that they can help target and destroy the middle-class America.
And when you know communist ideology and what they call the program that General Parton, the former head of the Air Force Weapons Development, three-star general, used to come on and break down with us, once they take down a country, they collapse it in socialism, then bring in communism, that's the military occupation. Then they use that country to, quote, target the next country with socialism and then collapse it. And that's what you show in the graphic, is the country collapsing and then the communists take over. They admit that's the plan. Cloward and Pivot is just one variant that I mention a lot because people know what that plan is. It's so diabolical, and so Central and South America is collapsing under communism right now and socialism. So they run up here to get the free health care, but no, that just collapsed their country.
Well, they're being used by our socialists to destroy this country as well. The difference between today's socialists and Marxists in the Democrat Party and the Marxists from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s is back then they would look you in the eye and say, we're going to destroy you, we're going to destroy America. Now they look you in the eye and say, we want to help poor people, and then they do the same thing.
They go, oh, it's children, when only something like 17% are under 18. And the illegals that are coming have huge criminal records. They can get fake identities. How do you become a new person? You don't have to change your identity or anything. You just come to the U.S. and be whoever you want. Kill as many people as you want. Do whatever you want.
Well, here in California, for example, 50% of the prison population are illegals. We have the Nortes, the Cedeños, different criminal gangs. The people coming over the border are not people that see America the same way we do. They're people with completely different agendas, and Obama is lying to everybody with a very evil plan.
And when the president and the Democrats said, oh, the president's going to come out and explain his immigration policy, his unconstitutional, some say, immigration policy. Explain it? Really? You're going to explain your policy? Really, like you explained Obamacare? You're going to explain the enormous lies and fraud. Now we know they're huge, the biggest policy fraud ever perpetrated on the American people. It was foisted on American people. I know Jonathan Gruber was one of the architects, and thank goodness he came out and spoke so candidly about how, you know, they were tortured on the language and needed to make it opaque, and that was their friend, and, you know, they needed to lie and deceive to get it passed. But listen, I know a lot of people are focusing on Gruber, who says, oh, the American voter is stupid. That's a sideshow. Listen, focus on this being a fraud. This wasn't a, oh, we didn't see that. Oh, we didn't understand the unintended consequences of this or that. No, they got together, the Democratic Party, all the way to the president. I mean, what does he have, 18 or 19 times to the White House? The president was personally involved in this law, along with, Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi. The leadership of the Democratic Party got counsel on how to lie. That came from MIT economics professor Jonathan Gruber. Yes, they were counseled on how to lie. He didn't do it. He told them how to do it, and they said, great, that's a great idea. That's how we can lie to get this thing passed. So I don't trust anything the president says now. When he explains his policy on this or explains his policy on that, you know, like this illegal immigration thing, I don't believe a word he says. I'm sure I'm not alone. He's talking, explaining something, I just consider it one big fat lie. I mean, how many lies did they tell with the ObamaCare thing? And we don't even know what it fully is yet. We still have the employer mandate that hasn't fully kicked in. We have all these hundreds and hundreds of exemptions. We don't even know what ObamaCare is, but we do know one thing. It was a huge, concocted policy fraud, and it was foisted on the American people. And now when the president talks about immigration, I'm sorry, folks, I don't believe a word he says. I just don't.
Massachusetts Institute of Technologies, Jonathan Gruber, is one of the most respected economists in the world, said in today's Washington Post, here's a quote, "Here's a bill that reduces the deficit, covers 30 million people, 30 million more people, and has a promise of lowering premiums." Pretty good statement.
We're not finished getting all of our reports back from CBO, but we'll have a side-by-side to compare.
That's Pelosi.
But our bill brings down rates. I don't know if you have seen Jonathan Gruber of MIT's analysis of what the comparison is to the status quo versus what will happen in our bill. I don't know who he is. He didn't help write our bill. I don't know if you have seen Jonathan Gruber of MIT's analysis. I don't know who he is. He didn't help write our bill. And so, with all due respect to your question, you have a person who wasn't writing our bill commenting on what was going on when we were writing the bill.
Did you mislead Americans about the taxes, about keeping your plan, in order to get the bill passed?
No, I did not. I just heard about this. Yeah, I get well briefed before I come out here. The fact that some advisor who never worked on our staff.
A lot in that room was thinking about, how could we make this work? And Obama's like, well, you know, I mean, he's really a realistic guy. He's like, look, I can't just do this. He said, it's just
some advisor who never worked on our staff expressed an opinion that I completely disagree with.
Next time I see him is summer 2009. The big issue there is that he really wants to make sure we're moving forward on cost control.
I think it's fair to say that there was not a provision in the health care law that was not extensively debated and was fully transparent.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, you know, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And to me, the most important piece, and in some sense, the piece I guess I'm most disappointed that Doug and I disagree on, is the Cadillac tax. Okay, economists have called for 40 years to get rid of the regressive, inefficient, and expensive tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. No economist, and I'm sure Doug agrees with this, no economist would ever set up a health system with a tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. It's a terrible policy. Turns out politically, it's really hard to get rid of. And the only way we could take it on was first by mislabeling it, calling it a tax on insurance plans rather than a tax on people, and we all know it's really a tax on people who hold those insurance plans. And the second way was to start it late. Started in 2018.
This is one guy. I don't know who this guy was. All I know is that it's important for people to have health insurance. And if you guys are saying people shouldn't have health insurance, I don't know where you're coming from. Are you that cruel? That is what you're saying.
Oh, Mike, the fact is, I think it's actually Republicans who haven't been particularly transparent or even honest about the true impact of those. Well, it is Republicans who have been less than forthright and transparent.
None of that was true. Lies, 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 lies.
And one more misunderstanding I want to clear up. Under our plan, no federal dollars will be used to fund abortions, and federal conscience laws will remain in place.
Lies, 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 lies. It is a giant cancer that's meant to tie into every part of our economy, federalized health care, death panels, huge taxes to foreign corporations, huge slice of the federal government.
What he's basically said is that 11, he's talking about 5 million, but he's saying essentially 11 million people aren't going to get deported. He wants them to be in a position to vote. He wants them to be in a position to be citizens. And he wants them to turn Texas blue. He wants to turn a lot of states blue. Problem is it's unconstitutional. That pesky thing that keeps revisiting him. The court holds that Obama's November 20th executive action is unconstitutional because it violates the separation of powers and take care clause of the Constitution. This is going to be appealed by the Obama administration. Expect this to be a long, drawn-out fight. There's been 3 other lawsuits that have been filed against Obama's Amnesty. One was filed by 24 states. These will all, of course, go to the Supreme Court, which, once again, let me just simply say that I think the Supreme Court is the last group that should be the ones that are harbingers of all things constitutional because they have become political. They are driven by political agendas. The good thing is that this lower court judge can block the Obama action until the Supreme Court decides the issue. That's like doing a toss-up in a basketball game with 2 guys the same height. You don't know who has the better vertical leap. So I don't like making this a toss-up. Pennsylvania judge made his decision after the lawyer for an illegal immigrant said his client should not be repatriated, but should be allowed to stay in the United States because of Obama's amnesty. The Spanish-speaking 42-year-old Honduran national was caught driving while drunk in Pennsylvania. At the time, he was working for his brother's landscaping business. Fed officials decided to repatriate him, prompting his lawyer to seek sanctuary under Obama's amnesty. When quizzed by the judge, the administration tried to evade the issue by saying the amnesty isn't relevant to the Honduran's criminal conviction. Obama never had the constitutional power to grant amnesty to anybody.